What's going on, guys? This video we're going to be working on our Corvette Z06 with heads, cam, and a Procharger kit. If you guys have been following along, we picked up this car a couple months ago and we've been going through it, sorting through it so that we can make it over to Holly LS Fest Texas and Holly LS Fest East this year. So Holly LS Fest Texas is actually coming up in less than a month. We've got to get this thing ready. So every time, if you guys have been following the story of this car, every time we turn around, something is either leaking or the previous owners have just absolutely made a disaster of different areas and aspects. So in this episode, if you guys followed, we ended up putting a Racetronics 340 pump in the tank. So we put one of their drop-in tanks. I'll link that above here for you guys if you guys want to see that specific install, but can't really see much now. It's installed. We've got direct power running right from our alternator with the Racetronics harness so that we have a good voltage going straight to our high volume pump. But we also have to upgrade the injectors. So these were only 42-pound injectors and we were running out of fuel. So what I'm doing right now, I just did some test fitting and we are going to be putting in these Excel 80-pounders. So our boy Matt is doing the tuning. I'm gonna link him down below as well if you guys need a tuning expert. He is your guy. He's working with us on this Z06 and definitely shout out to him because he's putting in some time and he's making this thing run great. So here's the fuel injectors. So they're Excel 80-pounders. It comes with all of our injector data here as well. What I am doing though is I'm replacing the pigtails with EV6. So this is the EV6 style here. They plug right onto there. I could have ran some adapter harnesses, but I didn't want to risk potentially having a bad connection. So I'm gonna hardwire these in. We're gonna switch to the newer style clip because it just gives us more injector options. These are a direct bolt in for our LS6. Or if you guys have one of these similar generations, it should just be direct. But you can see here we have the EV1 style, like that old school, almost like Honda Civic connector. So we're gonna go ahead, take these off. They're just like heat petrified too. So I'm gonna end up hardwiring these in. You can see here our injectors fit beautifully. They're just gonna plug right in. All the height's gonna be the correct height. We just gotta change out the plug. So like I said, if you want, you can use adapters, but I'm gonna do it the right way and actually wire the correct connectors in. So I'll link everything down below for you guys if you guys are tackling something similar, but let's get those injectors in here. Then we can finally get the fuel system primed up, fired up on Matt's new tune, and hopefully we should be in the direction where we can actually send this thing and see what she's capable of. Okay, the other thing we are doing is we picked up this no-name sensor from my boy Tony because we needed a 2-bar, but it doesn't have any script or anything on it, so it's making me question how good it is. But we got it for cheap, but we ended up going ahead and ordering a GM factory AC Delco 2-bar. So just feel a little more comfortable with this one. So I'm gonna go ahead, I gotta shave off these 2 tabs for it to fit, but I'm gonna just shave these 2 tabs off and then we'll pop it in and then we'll have a OEM 2-bar just so that we make sure everything is right on this thing. All right, so, whoa, all right, tabs are shaved off. So let's go ahead and pop that in the back of the intake manifold. New fuel injectors are in, new harnesses are all in. We solder them, heat shrink them, and then wrap them up with automotive grade tape. So everything's in here good, clean. Let's go ahead and load that tune in here from Matt because he rescaled everything for the 80-pound injectors. And let's fire this thing up, see what happens. I gotta put my battery back on as well. All right, time for the first fill up after changing out the pump. This thing leaks, unfortunately, but it is what it is. All right, fuel is in and the tune from Matt is loaded, so all there is left now is to fire this thing up. We do have to, I'm waiting for the plugs to show up. My buddy Tony ordered them for me because the plugs in this are way too hot. They're like a 6, we need a 7 in here. And I wanna change out all the plugs because we're just going through everything at this point. So let's fire it up. It's probably gonna cough and stumble a little bit because there's no fuel in the rail and everyth's fresh, but we should be able to fire it up. All right, let's see how this goes. I feel like I need more fuel in the tank. I only put in just maybe 4 gallons or so, but let's see. Okay, maybe not. Let's see and check for leaks and everything. Got this thing dialed. Look at that. No fuel leaks. Looking good. All right. Well, on the next mystery saga, I wanted to pull this module out because my fuel gauge is still showing empty, and I figured, well, since both tanks should be empty because we ended up running the old pump dry before we pulled that out, and this tank was completely bone dry. This one, I would assume that it would be bone dry because we just filled some of that up, but this is pulling out a ton of fuel and it's saying I have no fuel. Also, there is a wire, single wire, that is not factory, and it is wired into here. Also, some of this is little melty melt, but this wire that they decided to run right next to the exhaust to pin into the back up here, which goes to who only knows where. Don't have any answers for that one, but it's weird because it seems like there's, I don't know if it's because that aftermarket cheap fuel module that was in the driver's side, if it wasn't properly transferring and pulling the fuel out of this one to there, so technically you're only running on one tank, which means you probably could run out of gas in this car pretty easy because this has so much fuel in it. It's still going. So I'm just letting all this fuel come out. I want to pop this module out real quick while we're kind of on the focus of fuel, and this thing technically shouldn't have fuel in it, but it seems to have a lot of fuel in it. I want to pull that out and see if we can figure out why the fuel sender is showing us, why the fuel sender is kind of giving us a faulty reading. I want to see if it's dirty, if I can clean the contacts on it. The car was supplied with this, which is a factory GM module, factory GM fuel level sensor, but this one looks used. So if this one's potentially used, I don't know what's in there. And written on here, it says 2002 Z06 fuel sender and gasket for the passenger side tank. So I don't know if there's a brand new one in there. Maybe it's an electrical issue, but we're gonna find out here hopefully soon. So, well, here's the passenger side module. I cleaned it all up. It was disgusting. And like, look at these pins here. Like, all just not nice looking whatsoever. So I'm gonna venture off to say that this is actually a new one. It looks pretty fresh, I guess. So I'm gonna go ahead, swap it over to this. I had to clean everything out, and then I also cleaned out the tank. The tank was disgusting inside as well for whatever reason. I don't know if like ton of condensation and moisture in here, but I cleaned all this up as best I could. I'm gonna clean all this up. I might actually put a different connector on there because that looks terrible. I do have one from the Racetronics kit. They sent us a brand new one of these, so I might pop that on to here. That way we've got a better chance at making some good connections. But let me mess with this, get it all rigged up, and like I said, I was cleaned out all that tank on that side, and then we should be in good working order here finally. All right, so everything's back in, wired. Woo! Somebody getting it. So this one looks a hell of a lot healthier than the old one. Look at that. That thing is disgusting. I don't know if you cleaned it up, if potentially it would work. Actually, it makes the little brushes are even missing. Look at that. I don't know if you guys can see that, but the little brushes are missing, so no wonder it doesn't work. All right, that one's done. Let's put this back in. Now we should have a fuel gauge. Okay, it's all back in there. Let's put it back down and put gas in it again and see if we got a fuel gauge and continue on with the fun stuff. Okay, so we just picked up some new plugs, you guys. We got heat range 7, so BR7EF. This is what Matt would prefer to see in here. So I'm gonna go ahead, gap them all. I've got my feeler gauges, so we'll gap them down, and then we can pop these guys in. Okay, so the old plugs are out. Check out how just sooted these things are from how just rich this thing's been running from previous owner. Just absolutely setting this thing up wonky. I don't know what else to say. Comment down below what word you would use to describe how this was previously set up. But anyways, all these plugs are out. These were a 6, so they were a hotter plug. You want to go with a little bit cooler plug when you're doing performance stuff and boosted stuff. So we went with a 7. So a little bit colder step or heat range plug. So they're in there. Let's go ahead. We're going to do a little bit of data logging, rip around in this thing, and then once Matt gives us the go ahead, then we can start doing some pulls. All right, so we went out and we did a few data logging sessions, but we were finding that it was starting to go lean a little bit in the higher RPM. So this fuel pressure, you guys saw all the junk that we cleaned out of the tank, and it still has, on these vehicles, the fuel pressure regulator and the filter is combined into one, and it's at the rear of the car. Since there was so much junk in the tank, it wouldn't be surprising to see that our filter is completely full of junk. So since we're kind of starving way up top, we're gonna go ahead, pop that out. I just checked the fuel pressure, and let me show you guys that reading. It's kind of weird the way it shows. So there you go, you saw that, and what it is, it's sitting around, well, around 55, 58 or so when it's keyed on. So it's holding about 55, 58, but when it's running, it's jumping up to about 75. One of the things with the bigger fuel pump is it's intended to kind of overwhelm the stock fuel pressure regulator and give you higher fuel pressure, but there might be a bunch of junk in that one, and we're not getting the flow we need. So we're gonna put this up. I'm gonna depressurize the fuel system, and then we're gonna pop out the fuel pressure regulator / filter. It's all in one in the back, replace it, and then hopefully we can go out and get some good results here. Well, the old one is out, and what I can tell you is that's probably one of my least favorite jobs to do on this car or any car, because you gotta be arm's length above your head while gas tries to splash you in the face. So let's go ahead and put the new one in. I might try to get a better one, but this is the quickest one that I could get right now. We'll see how it does. It's got to be better than that one that's clogged up with a bunch of junk. I do want to see if I can try to cut this open and see what is potentially stuck in there, but it's neither here nor there. Let's get this one on and get back to business. All right, so new one is up and in there, secured, fastened, everything's good. So let's go ahead and put it down and try again. All right, guys, so she's back running. We're gonna take it for a little cruise, see what our fuel pressure is looking like. This thing sounds nasty. She's idling good and all that. I'm gonna explain to you guys what this ghetto rigged wiring is all over here right now, as soon as I kind of crawl myself in here. So I hooked up this temporary fuel pressure gauge just so we can keep an eye on it. I didn't have another pod to kind of sneak it in, so I just threw it there. I just want to get an idea of what kind of fuel pressure we're seeing. I want to make sure this isn't dropping drastically. I don't know if I'll be able to film it for you guys, but we're data logging. I'm gonna see and try to keep my eye on this, and we'll see how she does. Okay, so it's a lot better, but I don't know if it's perfect. Check it out. Let me go. This thing got mad. Let me go pull in somewhere so I can freaking. This thing is just screaming at me. So it might have saw too much power for itself or something, but I'm in like full limp mode right now. Well, I'm learning about GMs, you guys. She's working good though. That kind of scared me a little bit. I thought I blew it up for a second. Alright, let's get over here so I can turn this thing off. I'm gonna have to reset something. She mad. It's weird. It just gives you a certain like amount of RPM. Like the pedal does nothing. Like, look at this. It's just screaming. Alright, I gotta pull up here. Limp mode in a Corvette is interesting. So let me just make sure I save this log first, and then I'm gonna turn this off, see what it's mad about. Alright, so that's probably the most boost it's ever hit. That's probably why it freaked out. But I just cleared the codes. We're gonna dial it in on the tune, but everything's still good. Just had to clear it, and she's back to, oh, got pedal now. So let's go back and reuse this. All right, so our boy Matt's going to send us a revision, get this thing dialed in, but I wanted to update you guys on the current situation. So now we've got good fuel pressure, we've got bigger injectors, replaced the fuel filter and fuel pressure regulator assembly. We might actually swap that out for a better unit here shortly, but that one was definitely holding us back because we were running a little bit lean up top, and now that's gone after just putting in a off-the-shelf regular filter fuel pressure assembly. So we do want to upgrade and probably improve on that soon, but for now, we can continue to dial this thing in because Holly LS Fest Texas is like weeks away at this point, and I gotta get this thing ready to go. So starting to look pretty good. It's sounding really good. I'm gonna keep updating you guys. So as me and Matt dial this thing a little bit more, I'll make another video for you guys, but I just want to update you guys here, tell you guys what's going on, where we're at right now, and now it's starting to get pretty close. So now we'll be able to start dialing this thing even more and being able to make some full pulls in this thing, which I'm excited. It's been a long time coming. I haven't really been able to make a full pull since we got the car. So thanks for watching. Check out the other videos on the channel. Give it a thumbs up if you haven't already. I'll see you guys in the next one.